Hey there, welcome to the sermon preview for this week. Before we jump into our passage, I'll just give you a little bit of an update if you're wondering. Michelle has not had the baby yet, and so she's a couple days overdue, which is normal. And so at this point, as I'm recording this, I'm planning on being there on Sunday morning and preaching. Now, if something happens between now and then, you will see another preview come out. And we'll have somebody else be preaching that Sunday, and then you can watch that and be up to date and know what they will be preaching on. So at this point, unless something happens between whenever you're watching this and this coming Sunday, the 15th, I'm planning on being there. So let's go ahead and jump in. So we're continuing on in our He Went First series. He Went First is our theme for the year. But we also have an intro series, a He Went First series, where we're looking at what Jesus did or how he set an example for us while he was here on earth. And so this week, we're going to be looking at John chapter 13, verses 1 through 20. And this is the passage where Jesus washes the feet of the disciples. And so let's dig into this just for a second here to give you a taste of for the sermon on Sunday. So Jesus, he gathers his disciples together and they're sharing a meal, and it says before the Passover. And so they're in this room and they're sharing this meal together. And during the meal, Jesus gets up and he grabs a towel, he wraps around his waist, grabs a basin of water, and he goes around and he starts washing the disciples' feet. Now, this is a really, really peculiar thing for Jesus to do, because specifically in that time and in that culture, it was the job of the lowest servant in the house, the lowest slave, the lowest servant, to wash the feet of the people that came in. And so Jesus is taking on the form of the lowest servant in the household. And so this is really peculiar. And so the disciples, they start, I'm sure we're looking at each other and wondering, what in the world is Jesus doing? And Jesus gets to Peter, and Peter says, "No, Jesus, you cannot wash my feet." And Jesus says, "No, I need to wash your feet. And he says, if I do not wash you, you have no share with me." And so Peter says, "Then wash everything." And Jesus says, "No, you're clean. You don't need to wash everything. Just wash your feet." And so Jesus, he washes his feet, and then he finishes up with the disciples. And then he sits back down and he says, "Do you understand what I've just done for you?" And of course, this is rhetorical because they don't. Because it's more than just washing feet. This is a symbol. Jesus is basically living out or acting out a parable for the disciples to teach them something about being a follower of Jesus. So he's acting this out. So washing feet, it's a symbol of what he is calling them to do. And what he's calling them to do is just as I have done, I want you to do for each other. So I have taken on the lowest form of a servant. I've become the lowest in the household in order to serve you. You need to do that for each other as well. And so this is something that Jesus commands and tells his disciples, but it's something that translates into our lives as well, as we are supposed to serve others. We're supposed to serve those around us. We're supposed to serve those in the community. We're supposed to serve those that don't necessarily treat us well. Because if you remember, Judas is here at this supper, and Jesus knows that Judas will betray him, and Jesus washes his feet. And so there's some really big significance in this, and how we are supposed to serve others in this, taking on this humble and this lowly servant's attitude as we go and interact with each other. So I'm really excited for this Sunday. Looking again here at John 13, verses 1 through 20, the idea of Jesus washing the feet of the disciples, and how does that affect us? And here's an idea for you to reflect on. How can you better follow Jesus' example of serving others? That's something for you to think about between now and Sunday. Again, I'm planning on being there unless something happens with the baby. If he decides to make his grand entrance here in the next couple days, we're going to switch gears a little bit. We're going to pivot, and I'm confident that y'all can be flexible for a little bit here as we undergo this kind of unknown thing for our family. So appreciate you all walking along with us in this, and looking forward to maybe seeing you on Sunday. Take care.